everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode number 394. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
And we are joined, as you can see, by two middle-aged guys trying to work it all out. Chris and Dave. What is going on, gentlemen?
Oh, well, just again, the middle-agedness is you add us all up and we're very, very old.
I was just gonna say the average is like middle age overload. Like
It is.
there's only so much midlife crisis you can put into a screen, and here it is.
And I think, let's be honest, middle age means we're all going to live to 90. We're not really middle age because I'm not making it to 90.
No, I'm surprised I made it to 9.
Does that mean we're gonna have to change the name of our podcast?
I'm worried now.
Okay.
Yes.
With 3/4 age guys.
Right.
It doesn't ring.
2/3.
Yeah.
2/3, 2 advanced age guys working it out.
Just very happy to be here with you all. We love your program. We love your program. Like you guys are.
Like someone,
Like
like one of us
Tonight
tried
Show.
starting some sort of studio session or something.
That's all right. Tune in to season 38.
Ed Sullivan here. No, we love we listen to your show. You guys were the inspiration for us starting our show. So we're so happy to be here.
And we're happy to have you, especially, after being on your show as little as a day ago.
Yes. And so I got to say, yes, you were on our show yesterday. Two middle-aged guys trying to work it all out. You can find it on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple, wherever. We're literally everywhere. You were on our show. We talked about movies. And Anthony, I wanted to come back and report to you my attempt to watch the movie. So we all brought a very scary but very obscure film.
Yeah.
And Anthony's intrigued me. The last horror movie. You had two choices, but I went with the last horror movie. So I went to watch it. I went to Roku. I searched for it. I found it. Oh, it's on Prime. I went to the Prime page. And then they had one single frame from the movie in the background. And my wife's sitting there watching it. She said, "So you're gonna buy this or rent this?" And the frame was so scary. I am not joking. I was like, I don't think. And I read the description. I remember Anthony's description and the scary guy on the screen watching the TV, watching something awful he had recorded. It was just. I decided I can't do this. So one frame of your film made me back out. I had to say,
wow. So
good choice.
So wait, not only did you not you didn't even watch like any of the video. You saw one picture.
I saw one
image.
frame of the guy watching a video. I'm like, no, this is not for me. I can't do this.
You know what? Then my job was done.
You're right. It's right. You scared me with a single still image from the film.
And for once, it wasn't a picture of me.
Scared straight, scared stupid. So it's gonna work either way.
Oh, right, that's it. My picture is when you get scared stupid. I gotta remember that.
Well, definitely check out the episode that did drop yesterday. Yes, from when this episode drops of us being on two middle-aged guys. Wonderful, wonderful episode that we did about horror movies, and we're gonna literally continue it over here because, as unoriginal as we are, we're just going to copy their idea. And
what are you talking about?
It.
It's Halloween week.
It is Halloween.
That is why we're talking horror.
It's like I have to remember it's Halloween because I can't just look around and see that it's Halloween all over the place.
Yeah. Well, it is Halloween all over the place. You just have to look behind me at all of the horror games that I have in my display.
You do have some good stuff. And Chris is somehow stuck in Dracula's castle. I don't know how he ended up in there.
That's
right.
It's
because there's no way to figure that game out, naturally. So I got in this castle and I didn't know what orb I was supposed to hold, when I was supposed to hold it. So here I am trapped.
Well, all you had to do was call the Nintendo hotline and you would have been fine.
Oh, the Nintendo hotline, of course.
Yeah. So is that the orb that holds Dracula's fingernail or something? I mean, the weirdest stuff is in that game.
Yes, each orb holds a body part.
Yeah.
So I don't know which orb. That's from the first castle, and I haven't played it in so long. I don't.
That would be
orb.
Dracula's rib.
Okay. There you go. Right. Oh, that's because it's shield.
Because that's the shield. Yes.
Yes, which I found out 3/4 of the way through the game when I accidentally selected it and completely forgot that the body parts do things for you.
I know it's one of your favorites, Larry. So I had to help and honor that decision and put that here behind me.
I think it's fantastic, and I'm so happy you did that because it took Larry, I think it was at least 5 years to honor a promise on the podcast to complete that game.
No, I did the math when we posted that episode. I'm
Oh,
pretty sure it was like 1,000 or 2,000 days or something like
it was
that,
some crazy
or
number.
2,400 days. Yeah, between like episode 6 when I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try and beat this game, and then left it, and then we did it, and then yeah, I literally just I worked out the math. I was like, wow, that's a long time in between.
Hmm.
Well, I am a
And
Simon's Quest apologist, so someday maybe I'll convince you to appreciate Castlevania 2.
there ain't a chance in hell, my friend, but you can
There
try.
you go.
I do appreciate that. So
I have tried for years, and I still haven't succeeded.
All right.
Oh, Chris is always apologizing for Simon's Quest, right? That's what the word apologist means. I love to say that anytime anyone uses that word.
Yes,
Pretend I don't know what it means.
I will never apologize for Simon's Quest. It's a great game. There were a couple of bad translations that made it a little difficult to get through. Nothing you couldn't solve with Nintendo Power Magazine. The end.
it was like a 2-minute transfer between night and day. Like, all right, no, like maybe like 30 seconds. But like that is a long time for like an 8-year-old to try and figure out, what to do next,
Well,
or a 44-year-old trying to figure out what to do next.
I had no problem. And I was 8 once too, Larry.
Yeah, yeah, but you sure acted like you were 30.
I'm not gonna argue that.
But
So,
all right. So with the bitterness aside, with these two podcasts that we're just going to merge at this point, with this Halloween special, we are going to discuss. We're actually kind of again, all joking aside, we're going to kind of continue our conversation from yesterday's podcast with two middle-aged guys on their show, and we're going to talk about some horror video games. And we're gonna the homework was trying to find some obscure horror video games that maybe not everyone else had played or heard of, but still kind of gave you a jolt. Um, this is one half of my podcast, and I can tell you right now, I'm going to change the assignment a little bit for me because I had trouble finding because I didn't really collect horror games growing. Like, did you guys, Chris and Dave, like, did you lean towards maybe not lean towards horror games, but like, did you look for horror games growing
No.
up? Because this psychopath over here, I know loved them. So
live
There
Sure.
were
I
a
mean,
select few that I
yeah.
really enjoyed. I really, for whatever reason, gravitated to Nightmare on Elm Street on the NES.
That's a great game.
I thought
Yeah.
that was a fantastic game, and it's
there he
right,
goes. Yeah.
right back there.
Right back
Yeah.
there.
But for the most part, no. Like, I'm not a horror aficionado. Like, I'm kind of with Dave. I'm the scaredy cat. It's so horror is not our thing. But I think I did nail an obscure horror game that I have played at least enough to realize I don't want to play this anymore.
Awesome.
All right.
And that's what we were looking for.
Yes, no, totally. So we have 3 people who are not into horror and 1 who loves it. Man, we really picked a hell of a topic, even
Yeah.
if it is Halloween. No,
Well,
this is gonna be
Larry,
fun.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I thought of the horror game that you were going to pick immediately. Like, I don't know why you were having such a hard time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. No, is it? I know
Yeah,
where you're
no,
going with
it
that.
was
No.
Spice World for the PlayStation. Yeah.
How dare you, sir? Do not. Where is it? Here it is, right here. Look at this. This
Yeah.
is so people
There.
know I do own. Yes, that is a copy of Spice World on the PlayStation 1.
Truly horrific. If you want to talk about a game that
Mwah.
I had to shut off, that was it.
But did you play Britney's Dance Beat on PS2?
No, I couldn't bring myself to do that. See,
I own that as well.
yeah, I still have PTSD from Spice World, so I can't really.
What is the Spice World game? I mean, I've heard of it for years, saw it
It-
on the shelves, but what do you do?
Really is barely a game. I'm not gonna lie. It's
Okay.
you really just make a music video. That's really what it
All
is.
right.
You got a little behind the scenes stuff here with the girls, who, because they are the greatest pop band of all time.
Oh.
And I'm being serious about that. And there's a little like dance rhythm part to it and stuff. So besides
If
that,
you,
yeah.
if you beat the game, does Posh Spice get to marry David Beckham so she can continue to be famous? Is that the
And
is
I
that the
just
goal
sit
of the
there.
game?
That's the goal.
I sit there and weep. I'm like, Posh, Victoria Adams at the time. Her maiden name.
All right. Well, let
She was stupid Beckham.
do me a favor and throw that in the trash where it belongs, and then we'll continue on.
Boy, if you want to do a Spice Girls episode on Two Middle-Aged Guys, call
Oh
me.
my
I'm in.
goodness! All right,
I'm in.
well, if we get to that topic,
You did David Bowie. You can do
40
Spice
years.
Girls.
Yeah.
hey now,
and if
oh
you
boy,
do, yeah, look at the comparison there. And if you do get to that topic, don't call me.
oh goodness, sir, The estate of David Bowie would like to have a word with you.
That's right. I hope David Bowie haunts you this Halloween for that comment.
I got
He might.
You
He
just
might
might.
be doing
Fantastic.
that. Yeah.
That'd be really great. Actually, it would be.
a
But
boo.
anyway, getting back to what we were going to talk about this week. So everybody was supposed to look up an obscure horror game.
Mhm.
Larry, of course, had a little bit of trouble with that, so we're going to allow some leniency on the rules here. We'll settle for a horror game Larry has played, um,
Yes, that I own too.
that you own as well. That's
Yeah,
surprising.
so we kind of get right into it at this point. So, yeah, again, all joking aside, yeah, I'm not the horror fan, but growing up with me and Aunt, again, just kind of fill the guys in as well. I was basically forced to watch a lot of horror and partake in horror games and whatnot because all my friends, that circle was all horror based. But later on in life, recognizing some wonderful games of that survival horror genre, one of which is Resident Evil. Now, we all know Resident Evil, of course. So there's nothing to say about that. But when I never really played the original Resident Evil series. I didn't get PlayStation until a little later on. But when they started releasing them on the GameCube, that's when I started picking them up. And really, my part in this is just to tell my story of where I was while playing a video game, legit freaked out while playing a game. And it was Resident Evil Zero on the GameCube, and it's not even that far into the game. So starting the game, gorgeous graphics compared to the PS1. The GameCube graphics were mwah, chef's kiss. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to play this, I'm going to play this proper. Turning the lights out, right? I got, no background music. Normally when I play games, I used to have some music playing in the background, maybe some Aerosmith or Billy Joel, depending on what I'm playing. So I had nothing going on, lights out. It's at night. So I'm like, all right, let me start playing this.
A
And you
wolf is
start
howling in the
a little
background.
bit. Yeah, the dog
There's a
needed to go
full
outside.
moon.
Yeah. And it's in New York City, so gunshots and whatnots. So and as I'm playing the game, it gets to a part where it's so simple. Nothing's going on. It's quiet. I'm walking down the hallway. And I've already probably got through one zombie, I think, at this point, when this happens. And then out of nowhere, a rock, just a small rock, comes flying through the window. I jumped out of my skin when this happened. It freaked me out so bad. And I don't know why, because it's such a simple part in the game. I was not expecting it. I turned the lights on. I blasted music. I probably called for my mother. I mean, I did not have a fun time at that point. And I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think I've gone back to Resident Evil Zero since. I played it basically brand new. It's really the only time that freaked me out. Almost as bad. I'm gonna connect it back to like yesterday's episode with you guys on TMAG. Um, when I was little and I watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind,
Mm.
I panicked for days when I saw that on TV. The do 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 do
I thought it was
cry.
the wasting of mashed potatoes because that always disturbed me, scared me.
Well, fat little me, yes, that was very
I want
upsetting.
those potatoes.
French fry potatoes. But no, like I flipped out. Like my parents needed to console me. That's how bad I was with Close Encounters. But with Resident Evil Zero, with that stupid rock, I, I just I turned white and I was done. And that's unfortunately, that's really the only story I had. But I'll never forget that moment.
But did you ever
Um,
go? Did you ever go back to the game, or was it just you shut it off and that was the
no,
end of it?
I was done. I'm shocked I didn't throw
Wow.
it out the window. Like legitimately throw it out the window. I should do I don't think I have it on GameCube anymore. I think I have it on bad enough. I think I have it on a newer system, so now the graphics are
Hmm.
even better. So now it's really gonna freak me out. God help me if I had it on VR.
It's an HD rock now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, actually, I would love to see you play Resident Evil 7 because that is VR.
Actually, at this point, it's just Dwayne Johnson coming through the window. And VR, I don't know how. Oh, Anthony, thank you very much for reminding me. There was another game that I flipped out over, and it was a VR game. I know, again, these are more newer games, but it's the only story I can tell. And forgive me, I think you know what I'm talking about, though. It was one of the demos on the PlayStation VR, and it had like this circus theme
Yeah,
to it.
it was Until Dawn Rush of Blood. It was
Yes,
the shooter game, the horror
yes,
shooter. Yep.
you're on a
Love that
rail.
game.
It's like
So
a
cool.
Oh, it's a rail shooter basically, but on the demo you're in kind of felt like you're in like a mine cart. I know you're not in a mine cart, but it felt like
Yeah.
it. And you're going down this hallway slowly. And of course with VR, it's so immersive, especially if it's a demo. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They got everything going, you got the headphones on, and you just turn as you move, you turn to the left, you see an empty room, then you turn to the right, and then there's like a little girl there kind of sobbing a little bit. And then you turn and there's like this giant clown, like
Mhm.
dripping in blood or something like that, if I remember correctly.
It's great.
Again, another one where I just whipped off the VR headset and was like, no.
Mhm. What's funny is that when people come over to my house, when friends would come over to my house, and I first got the VR and they were curious about it, that was always the game I put them in.
Oh, not Beat Saber. You couldn't have. That's
No,
cruel.
I would start with that, and then I would get to the cooler ones like Beat Saber and Star Wars.
I
How
thought
how
making
many
my
people got past that to get to Beat Saber and Star Wars?
Uh, two.
Okay.
Oh,
and when he says past that, meaning are still alive.
Oh well, that no comment on that one.
And I thought I was sadistic by introducing my friend who never played NES to her first game to play was Ninja Gaiden. I'm like, here you
That's a
go.
tough game to play.
That is wicked. That's why we don't talk no more. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, so I know I'm getting a D on this assignment, but still, those are my two moments. And again, for a guy who doesn't really game horror, oh my God, those two moments.
Mhm.
And thank you for drudging up that memory or inadvertently giving me that memory of the VR game that now I get to go to sleep with.
You're very welcome. If you want, I'll send you a video.
I'm good.
You sure?
I'm
All right.
totally.
Well, just a quick point. The experience you had with Resident Evil, I had it. I had the same exact experience when I got the first game for PlayStation because there's a moment right in the beginning of that one, and it's like it's a famous moment. Everybody talks about it of the like, where were you when the dog came jumping
yes.
through the window when you were watching? And Larry knows this. Larry knows. I was still a teenager living at home, and I had a very small bedroom, like
Tiny.
super tiny. It was like walk-in closet small.
I'm not 100% sure that was a legal room for a bed to
No,
be put in.
I don't think it was. So when I had my PlayStation and I had a TV, I had a small TV in my room. So like when I sat on my bed to play the game, the TV was like maybe a foot from my face at
There was,
most. There
if
was like
I
no
may,
space,
and again, we're not joking. There was the bed. There was enough space to be able to walk between the bed and his entertainment center.
and that's it.
And then the entertainment. And by the way, when you're walking past it, you are still brushing up against the bed and the entertainment center.
Yeah, that's how small it was. So when that
I
dog,
forgot about your
yeah,
room.
so when that, well, there goes Larry. We've lost Larry.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
But when the dog jumped through that window because I was so close to the TV, I jumped back on my bed. And because I was also playing with the lights out. I'm like, this is how you play this
Yep.
kind of game. Only way to do it. Unlike Larry, though, like after that happened, and I took a moment to compose myself, I was so happy with this game. I was like, oh my God. I go, somebody made a horror game that actually does a good job with a jump scare. I was all in from there.
It does. I have similar experience with Resident Evil. I played mine on the Saturn,
ooh,
which
Nice.
yeah,
Very nice.
it doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but I always like to say that because gives me street cred
It
with
oh,
does.
100%.
nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of Saturn talk this month.
You got
So
But
you're right
Sega
there.
cred. Sega cred.
it
Yeah.
say your cred, yeah. But it was always that the dog, that first hallway when the zombie comes at you you see the zombie for the first time. Very effective, very scary.
Yep. Oh yeah, on a black screen when it slowly turns around, they
Yep.
do a close up of the face. Yeah, very well done.
And then you're still
Larry
trying to
La-
figure out the
Larry
tank
didn't get there.
controls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I might have wet myself.
well, you know what? I would believe that actually out of you. So all right. Well, you went with the obvious, but since you're not a fan of horror games, we'll take that as an answer. Yeah, I'll give you a D. You'll definitely get a D. It would have been a C if you would have bashed Spice World a little bit, like you should have. So, but we'll have to move on from there.
I got my Spice Girls commemorative stamps just came in the mail last month
Okay,
from England. So,
F minus.
and that again, that's a shoot, brother.
Yeah, definitely an F minus. Do you let's move on from this from Larry's horror,
It's
of
your
which
favorite scary movie. It's Showgirls. It's frightening.
yes, Spice World, no question.
I saw that in the
Um,
theater.
uh,
I
wow.
did.
And this is why Larry wastes money. All right, let's move on to let's move on to Dave, because we can bash each other left and right.
Yeah, well,
All
you
night.
guys will have an opportunity to bash me. So I'm gonna bring a scary movie or scary movie, a game so scary that I was not allowed to buy it or rent
Ooh.
it or play it,
Ooh.
and I never have. That's how much it scares me.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I
Okay, this
I
is
know I'm
interesting.
kind of skirting it, but um, this game, and I don't know how my mom found out about the existence of this game, but somehow she knew in the late 80s. She said early 90s, you can get any game you want, it's fine, but not this one.
Mm.
You guys have a guess?
Not
You
a
said
clue.
late 80s, early 90s?
Late 80s, early 90s, Nintendo NES.
Oh, an NES game from the late 80s, early 90s. Oh, interesting.
I would say Castlevania, but I don't think it was that bad.
No,
But I
I mean,
also know, and I mean this with no disrespect, I know like your upbringing, like you've talked
Yep.
about before. So I'm gonna say Castlevania.
all right. Yeah, like, knowing your upbringing, I would think it would be something like Casino Kid, like with gambling or something like that.
Oh yeah, they got
I
my
would,
gambling addiction on fire.
exactly. Like, I don't know. Or Monopoly. It's like, ooh, the
Oh yeah.
evil real
No, we
estate
played a
overlords.
lot of Monopoly. Chris, do you have a guess? I mean, you grew up with me.
I did, but my shot in the dark guess is Friday the 13th, because maybe she was aware of it because of the movie tie-in.
No, I did rent that, and I did jump every time Jason would pop out. You know, when you're going through the cabins
Yep.
and he would pop it. That was effectively scary. It's a terrible game, but that
Awful
was
good.
kind of funny. Yeah. Anthony, any guess? Your wheels are turning.
Yeah, I'm trying to run through horror game, like any type of like pseudo horror game on the Nintendo. And to be honest with you, there weren't a whole lot. So, outside of
All
Nightmare on
right.
Elm Street, Friday the 13th, I'm drawing a blank for you.
Well, I'm going to lay it out. In 1989, from Rare, Taboo, The Sixth Sense.
Oh, that's right.
Do you
Really?
guys remember this game?
I
Because yeah,
do.
the
I
fortune
do.
telling game, right?
Yes. Well, and actually beyond that, right? It used the full deck of tarot cards,
Yep.
76, 78, like the proper deck. And I did do a lot of tarot research, and I have become a Wiccan through this process. So I'm not sure that, there was no, I have never played this game.
Can you float a pencil now?
No,
Oh,
but I'm working on it.
bummer.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to stand outside of a Vegas casino and do bad magic tricks.
There you go.
Once I learn how to do a floating
Red,
pencil.
Red Casino Kid, it'll teach you some things.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I'm going down a bad road even talking about Taboo. But Taboo was a game that was basically, it really wasn't a game. You went in, you answered a handful of questions. And I know this because I watched some videos. You answered a handful of questions, like your birth date and your name and a couple other things. And then it would just go through like bad animations of tarot cards and then give you your like a lottery number. It would give you a lottery number
Hmm.
and predictions about what's going to happen in your future. So it was not really a game. In fact, even the instruction booklet said this is not a game, right? It was trying to play up the mystery of
Hmm.
what is this game. But it got terrible reviews. It was always available in the trade-in bins, always. If you went
Yep.
to like the pawn shop with the stacks of games, you never um, you know, never a lack of copies of Taboo. But I was told by name. So my mom must have heard about it at church. Is the only thing I can think of, right? No, and it's I can't ask her because she's dead. It was scary. If I did ask her, that
What?
would also
What?
maybe if I played.
I guess you play Taboo now.
Yeah.
Oh, now I've got a reason to do it.
Yeah, play Taboo, and you know
no.
what? Yeah, you know what's going to happen. She's going to tell you, "I told you not to play that
I told
game."
you not to play this. What are you
And
doing?
by the way, the numbers are 2, 3.
Yeah. No,
Sorry.
but yeah, it was a legitimately there was a little bit of a panic about this game, and people shouldn't have been panicked because it was awful, and it was not fun, but it also it featured religious symbolism and nudity. It showed some people nude from behind,
Which
and
is very interesting.
very weird. How did it get past the iron fist of Nintendo
Oh, totally.
censorship? Right,
Yep.
they didn't allow any sort of that any religious symbols were, looked down upon, and they really tried to sanitize that from their games. But and there's also today, I did a little research on this, but today in today's world, there are rumors about this game, about kids playing it. You guys could read it on Reddit or read it on, whatever social media. Kids playing this game and disappearing, or joining cults, or using the game to get other kids into cults, or predicting deaths. There's some weird urban legends that have, so I would say, just sort of nascent, right? They're not, so you have to go digging for them. They don't find you, to be sure, but very interesting. But this is a game that scared me so bad, and still with my, you're talking about my upbringing, I'm still a pretty, religious person. I won't play it because it crosses the lines for me. But I think I find it hilarious now because it's, universally considered awful, but I still wouldn't touch it. So that's a game that scared me so much I couldn't even play it.
I can see that. I totally understand that too. Like I get where you're coming from. That's and I can almost see. And again, wait, I'm not trying to be disrespectful on that, but I see like your mother being at church and like them having like a group saying, "Hey, look, here's what we have going on. Here's the new checklist. Taboo.
Guarantee you,
In Living Color." And some other, The Simpsons,
the Cosby Show.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, the Cosby Show.
Wow, they were ahead of the curve on that one.
Yeah, they were, absolutely.
So, no, that's wild. Good pull, man. Good pull.
Yeah, very nice. Bringing that up now makes me want to pull out my copy of Taboo and see what I can predict.
I figured as collectors, you both would have copies, but
I just never was interested in it, but for no other reason than just I knew it was bad, but I never kind of put two and two together on how the game worked, quote unquote game. I'd be interested in watching a video just for pure, just interested to see how it looks and how it plays out. And to your point, the fact that it does contain nudity and religious imagery to get past Nintendo, like in Japan, had a lot
very
of
weird
religious, games and stuff like what was that? Devil's Curse.
Yes.
Devil Crush. Yeah. Was one of them.
But over here in North America, that's where all the censorship was. So very interesting, very interesting.
Well, but the censorship stuff didn't start until the 90s, like, when the whole Night Trap fiasco started.
Well, that's a different ball game. That was something else. That was like the industry as a whole.
Yeah. Well, but I wonder if this game, like, I would love to do a little bit of a deeper dive on it to see if Nintendo even like gave their seal of approval on it. Because it could be something that Rare just put out.
I think it's an official Nintendo release.
It is
an official seal of approval
game. Great cart. It's got the seal on it. Yeah.
Maybe they saw it and they just thought, suckers, we'll sell this for $50. It's not even a game.
Right.
Let's see.
They're getting their cut. They don't care.
Yep. And I actually do not have a copy in my collection, so now I'm going to have to go out and buy one.
Sure,
I'm glad I could inspire that.
It should be pretty cheap.
Yes, and unlike your horror movie experience, I'll actually buy it.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Devil's World, that's what it was. The game I'm thinking of, Devil's World.
Devil's World
on Famicom, which I think they actually released on the Switch on the NES edition.
Oh yeah, and it if I'm not mistaken, it's coming up on its 40th retro birthday. It either just passed or is coming up. I think it just passed, actually.
It might have, yeah.
Yeah, just passed.
So, all right. Good stuff, Dave. All right.
Yeah, and a nice, spooky, scary little culty game. Love it.
Oh, and we want to have him back. Come on now. So
who am I if not for my sarcasm? I can't help it.
This is very true. All right. Chris is in the on deck circle. So right now, Ant, what monstrosity are you going to bring to the table?
I'm not bringing anything terribly monstrous. I tried to think I wanted to step out from my usual list of things, because you can see by my wall, like with the wall behind me that I set up for Halloween, it's like there's a whole list of games back there. But I've talked about most of them on this podcast, like Seventh Guest, 11th Hour, Tecmo's Deception, which is sitting up there. And then I got the D down below, Clock Tower series, which I absolutely love. Even Buffy the Vampire Slayer on Xbox, which is a game Larry really enjoys. And
I love that game.
It's TV horror, but horror.
I wouldn't even call that horror too much. Yeah, it's like comedy. That's like Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far. But so what I did was I went to the PC route because in the mid 90s when I got my first PC, which I think was an HP if I'm not mistaken. With Windows 95 and all that stuff, I was super excited because I was able to get access to games that I utilize full motion video better than the
Hmm.
Sega CD because I had Night Trap and I had a whole bunch of Sega CD games, but I was never it never like they never really like knew how to use it that well. So but PCs were able to handle it a little bit better. So I started diving into PC horror games because they were really cool. And like I said, like Seventh Guest is still one of my favorite games of all time. And it was one of the first PC games I played. But then there were like other ones that really started to push the envelope for horror in there. Like Phantasmagoria is
Oh,
infamously known for like really going out there. And that would have been one I would pick, but I decided not to because it is kind of well known. So the game that I did select, which came out sometime around, it came out in April of 1998. April 28th, 1998. I actually have some information on it. It's a game I brought up on the show before, never really talked about. It's called Sanitarium.
hmm.
So, and I remember buying this game because I remember the cover of the game. It was so cool because it was literally like a close up of a guy's eye looking out in horror, but the rest of his face is covered up in bandages. And I'm like, ooh, I was like, this sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's creepy looking.
Yeah, it's a psychological horror point and click adventure. And I know, Larry, you're not a point and click adventure guy.
I'm scared
So
already.
so it's a psychological point and click adventure game, horror game, and the story behind it is, and the opening scene. I'll always remember the opening scene because it's like a first person perspective. Guy getting in a car as he's leaving a sanitarium, goes up a winding road, and he loses control of his car and crashes. And then you get into the actual gameplay aspect of he wakes up, his head is completely bandaged, and he's in a sanitarium. And throughout the game, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get through these different levels, but the levels are not all in this, they're not all in a sanitarium. It's like once you get out of the sanitarium, it's like the levels get weirder and weirder. So like after escaping the sanitarium, you're on this in this small town, but all the town is just full of children, and all the children are hideously deformed.
That's creepy.
And then you're interacting with them and you're trying to figure out what's going on, you switch from, and then when you get through that level you wind up in a really demented circus, and there's this big
What the
squid-like thing.
good Lord?
Then there's an alien level, there's an Aztec village with a god coming after you. Like it just dives deeper and deeper into
Very unrealistic. The last time I escaped from a sanitarium, I just got tased and put back in
and put
the
right back in the
sanitarium. Yeah,
sanitarium. Yeah.
I didn't get any of
So
that cool stuff.
It's like
no,
Ned
right.
Flanders. I'll take the
Circus.
jacket.
And that's the cool thing about it. But then, like, as the story unfolds, what you find out is that this guy actually, what happens in the beginning, before you get in the car and get in the accident, this guy discovered a cure for an incredibly deadly disease. They don't say specifically what it is, but think like
COVID?
a cancer or something like that.
Oh,
But um, a rival doctor doesn't want him to come out with the cure, so he actually sabotages his car to cause him to have an accident, and the entire game is actually happening while this guy is in a coma. So these are just
oh,
weird, vivid coma dreams that he's having, and you're trying to work him through that so he can wake up and then expose the other doctor, for what he did, and then obviously release this cure into the world. But though I just remember playing through this, and again, the it was like an isometric screen, so it was like Larry, like the Immortal, that like three-quarter
oh,
kind of
jeez.
like
Yeah.
diagonal view.
Yep. Yep.
So it had that kind of look. And again, the graphics when it came to walking through it and everything like that, they were very. It almost felt like a little like a step above 16-bit, like maybe a little more PlayStation-esque.
Okay.
But it was point and click with the way you walked around. But as you walked around and you talked to people, like I just remember, like the I thought that the voice acting in this was so good because like you would interact with like patients in the asylum and they're just saying crazy things like oh, I got committed because I wanted pumpkin pie, and then he just starts and then they just start rambling on, and then there's like a character who's just banging his head against the wall, and
Jesus.
um
Sounds like
and
work.
then they would have like they had full motion video sequences in between to kind of, explain the story and show you other things going on. I still remember when the first two kids in the town turn around and look at you, and one kid, like the left side of his face is just like drooping and like kind of hanging off
Wow.
partially. It really, really like crazy stuff. I played through this game, absolutely loved it. I have no idea how long it took me to beat it, because it's been 25, 26 years since I played it. But I still, if I remember correctly, I should have grabbed it, but I didn't. I still have my original copy in a binder, in my like a CD binder
Oh,
somewhere.
you do.
Yeah,
Nice.
I do. I wish I kept all of the artwork and the box and all that stuff, but I didn't do those things back then, unfortunately.
None of us did.
But definitely, like Sanitarium to me is like one of those ones that probably a lot of people don't necessarily know of it. It was actually a successful game. It sold like 300,000 copies back in 1998 for a PC game,
Yeah,
which
it's pretty good.
yeah, which is pretty damn good. The overall grades for it were pretty good. It averaged somewhere around like 3.5 to 4 stars. From most places, like GameSpot gave it an 8.2. Larry's favorite IGN gave it a 7 out of 10.
The
Um,
worst.
yeah, so yeah, it was really good. It won Best Adventure Game uh for in what was it, Computer Gaming World's 1999 Premier Awards. It won Best Adventure Game. It tied with Grim Fandango, so it
Oh,
actually
wow.
shared the award with Grim Fandango.
Oh, it
And Grim
tied with the LucasArts game. I
It tied
mean,
with the LucasArts
that's
game.
a
So yeah, it
that's a
was a
big. I mean, really, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
yeah. It was very, yeah, it was just it was lauded for its very creepy, compelling story. And so it's definitely one, like, if you love, for anybody listening or watching, if you love horror games, I know Dave, you're probably out. Um,
I don't remember this game.
yeah, so if you love horror games, it's definitely one to try and go back and find. I think it's available on Steam.
It is on. I just looked. It's
Yeah,
on
I
Steam. Yeah.
think, yeah, it's available on Steam if you ever, yeah, if you want to play it. I do highly recommend it. And actually doing the research on it makes me want to boot up my PC, my nice 98 Windows 98 PC I have sitting here, and play through it again.
So I have a question
Nice.
about this game.
Yes.
I'm, with three-quarters of this podcast, I'm not into the horror genre for video games. However, I bought this game, and I've never played it. I still have it.
Okay.
Reason I bought it was because I love point and click adventure games. So I'm curious from that perspective of I love point and click adventure games, but I'm not into the horror thing. How am I going to respond to this? Like, can I get through it as a puzzle thing, or is this going to freak me out so bad that I'm just going to have to uninstall it?
Well, I think it depends, because I mean all of the horror-esque look to it, because it's so dated. I don't think it's not like Phantasmagoria. It's not, you're not going to see like, bodies getting ripped open or
And that
anything
was
like
also
that. I
full
know
motion
you guys,
video.
yeah, and that was full motion video.
Yeah.
Like, they really went all out with it. This one I think is tamer. I mean, it's more like it plays more on like the disturbing nature of the story more than I think the gore. So I think you'd be able to get through it. You may only have to, like, hide your eyes once or twice. I
Which
think
makes it hard to click on things
It
with
does.
it does make it hard to click on
hiding
things.
the
But no,
eyes.
I think you'd be okay with it. It's just, I would I think, especially with today's horror games, I'd probably say it's more disturbing than it
Mhm.
is horrific.
All
So
right.
yeah, I
Well,
would
I'll have
give
to
it a
put that
try.
on my short list.
Put it on your short list, and then when you play it, let us know, and you can come back and give us a solid review.
When you're at a Dracula's castle, give it a
Right.
whirl.
Yeah, when you get that rib and get out of there.
That Wi-Fi is wicked in there.
It definitely is.
Uh, all right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I mean, save the best for last, right? I mean, no pressure on you, Chris.
Wow, yeah, no pressure. All right. So Here's the one I'm going to throw out, and it's maybe a different kind of angle. Of course, all we've all done different kind of angles, so I'm going to stop apologizing for it. This is a game that when I throw out the title, you're going to say that's not obscure at all, but it is a very specific version of this game that allowed me to slide under the obscure heading. But the game that was so scary to me was Alien versus Predator, specifically the 1999 PC version of that game. So, Anthony, I also went to the PC side of
Oh,
things. Does
nicely done.
anyone have any experience with Alien versus Predator?
Not on the
Okay.
PC. I
I
wasn't
have
big
not.
into
No.
PC gaming,
Yeah.
so
So this game, it's a 1999 shooter. It's got three, like you could choose to play as the alien, you could choose to play as the predator, or you could choose to play as the space marine. And I initially got the game because I love the Alien movies, the Predator movies, they're fine too. And I was like thrilled, man, I'm gonna get a gun and I'm gonna be able to shoot aliens. This is gonna be amazing. So I got the game, installed it, loaded up, and of course I'm like, I want to go for the Space Marine, let me be Hicks in this
Of
situation.
course.
Yeah, so I loaded up and I start playing it. And I swear to you guys, as I was preparing this, I went to YouTube and watched the opening level of the space. I could not watch it because the game is still terrifying to me, even now as an adult. And what it does so incredibly well is it recreates the atmosphere of Alien, which if you're in a theater or if you're watching it at home, that's one thing. But if you're like living it, that is
Hmm.
terrifying. The game is super dark. Like you cannot see anything that's happening in the game. The soundtrack is a jump scare soundtrack where it'll get really quiet, and then suddenly you'll get these drum hits that just come out
oh,
of nowhere and
Nice.
terrify you. And then the worst part of it is you have one of the alien motion sensors on your wrist that ticks constantly. It
Nice.
is not cool. Like I bailed out of this game so fast. I uninstalled it, never went back. And even going back and
Aw.
watching on a YouTube, I was like, I cannot do this. I've not played an Alien video game since because I was just like, I don't
Wow.
have it in me. Like I'll just stick to the movies. Thank you very much.
That that
Now,
wow.
that's
is
awesome.
this the same game that was on the Jaguar?
It is not.
Okay.
So it's roughly the same time and it's the same title, but they are vastly different games.
Uh, and you said this one came out around 1999, right?
99,
1999
yeah.
on PC. And then they did an Alien versus Predator 2 on PC. That's the direct sequel to this one. Never
Hmm.
even touched it. I have no knowledge of that game.
Wow. Okay.
It looks
It
like
would.
a year later they did an Alien versus Predator Classic 2000. It's kind of like an updated version to run on modern PCs at the time.
Oh, that's even
Um,
worse.
yeah, and
Wow.
sports for an Xbox, or maybe modern PCs today, because it says you can use an Xbox 360 controller
Hmm.
for Windows. But no, I can see how that can definitely be like it. What we all kind of talked about. There were moments in almost every one of these games, even in Taboo, kind of, that and maybe not as much in your face gore, but also like those little things, like Chris, like you said, that ticking noise that's kind of
Mhm.
happening. Me, it was a simple little rock that came crashing through. For Ant, it was just that the waking up and seeing the children or whatever even before they revealed themselves. And
Mhm.
poor Dave, it was
Yeah,
having a
it
list
was.
of stuff that he just wasn't able to do when he
Yeah.
was a kid.
Well, it was burning in hell for
Yep.
eternity. That's the
Burning in
thing that
Hell for
kept me away
Eternity.
from it. Yeah. Hey, just that. I mean,
That would
not
have
like a rock.
that would have drew me right to it.
Oh,
but but oh, and we love everyone. We know that it's all in
yeah.
good fun. But it almost shows to a point where like horror may not necessarily even be the in your face stuff. It's the little stuff that can absolutely get in your head and be like, what is going on here?
Well, you got to remember, like, suspense is such a huge part of horror. And if you're able to capture that and deliver it to people, I mean,
Yes.
that is like one of the biggest parts of it. It's the anticipation of what is going to come out of this darkness, what is going to come out around the corner, what is behind you. And it sounds like that's exactly what Alien versus Predator was. I was gonna say, Chris, it's a shame that you deleted it so quickly because clearly of the three campaigns, you should not have picked the Colonial Marine. You should have gone with being
Yeah,
Alien or Predator, and maybe you would have been able to get through it because you would have been more like stalking your prey and attacking
right.
them as opposed to being the one that has to look around
I
every
think
corner carefully and freak out.
I think that means I would have just bailed on it later. Like
Yeah,
I don't, it's how much time am I going to invest in this thing?
fair.
I got out quick, so I'm okay.
Okay.
You weren't Hicks, you were Hudson. That's
Yes.
the problem.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm out.
Game over, man.
Get
Game
out.
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
I
Brady
thought
beat me to it.
I was gonna say then I assume you've had no interaction with the Alien Isolation game from 10 years
No,
ago.
no, I have not. I several times I had it in my hand and I was like, I should give this a shot. And every time I was like,
Sitting
no.
right here, right behind me.
So the Alien
Yeah,
Isolation,
yeah.
our friend over Thunderdome Gaming Society, he did a review kind of, and he mentioned it to me. No, he didn't do a
Yeah.
review, but he mentioned because they announced a sequel to that.
They did announce a
Yes,
sequel, and actually, when I was over at when I was working at Fox at the time when this game actually was being developed, and I think I left shortly before it was
where
released.
where specifically did you work at Fox? What building?
Oh, I worked in Nakatomi Plaza.
Sure did. The actual Nakatomi
Oh,
Plaza.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I worked in Nakatomi Plaza. In fact, I think I was on one of the floors that John McClane blew up when he dropped the bomb down the elevator shaft. I think that was I think that was
I
one of
was
my floors. One of my
the
floors got
one time
bombed.
I visited, I'm like, where is he? Where's Hans? Where's
Yep.
Gruber? Where is he?
But
Is this the duct? I can't fit in there.
yeah, but I remember what getting back to the Alien game. I remember getting I wound up getting a free copy of it from there, because I was tight with the game guys, of course. And I remember putting it in my Xbox because I have it on 360. And I think I played about 10 minutes of it. And I have to say, those were like 10 of the most intense minutes I've ever played in a video game ever, because it's a similar experience that you had, Chris, where it's super quiet. You have no idea where this thing is coming from. And the slightest noise you make, it just launches itself out at you. So it's like the whole game is one entire jump scare.
Yeah.
It's way and
I'd highly recommend it for you. I think you're gonna
yeah.
love it.
I don't think that sounds like me, but thank you. I appreciate the recommendation.
I
My
don't even know
pleasure.
how I have it, but somehow I have it on the PS4. So
Hmm.
when Thunderdome Gaming Society, when he mentioned it, and he's like, "Oh, you love this game," he messaged me. I'm like, "All right, maybe I'll see." I went online, looked like it was on sale, but then when I'm looking through my library on the PS4, I'm like, "Wait a minute, do I actually have this?" It
Hmm.
wasn't even a gold copy. I must have bought it. I don't know why. So I downloaded it yesterday, just yesterday, when we recorded, and yeah, I just kind of wanted to play just to get a sense first of what it looked like. Oh man, all I got to the point is where like you're crawling through the baggage claim. And again, I haven't come across anything yet.
Hmm.
And I was already like, nope, I'm done. I got to put this down. I'm
Yep.
done. Let
It
me
it
delete this.
it hits you right at the beginning. Like you don't even you get like 10 seconds to kind of get your bearings, and you're freaking out. It's so cool. But getting back to your Alien versus Predator game, I did a quick search just to get a little information. It was actually supposed to come out in 1997, and it was supposed to be released on the PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and Microsoft Windows. But then once it got pushed back to 1999, they scrapped the Saturn and PlayStation versions.
Hmm.
Even though they had shown footage of the PlayStation one at E3 in 1997. So, and then there was a version in development for the Dreamcast as well, but they never released it.
Oh, that would have been nice on the Dreamcast, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, another one that got canceled. There was going to be a Game Boy Advance version
That
Well,
would have been the
that
best one.
of the
exactly
Millennium,
the most superior version would have
right?
been. I might have
Well,
made it through that one, but probably not.
yeah, because it would have been like a little character kind of
Uh-huh.
walking
Yeah,
across the
yeah.
screen. Yeah, but the minute you had that ticking noise, if they put it at the
I would
end,
have been out. Yeah, it
that would
just
have been
flip
it.
off this system.
So now we know how to chase you away from like
Oh
certain
yeah,
things. We
if you
just start
use
a ticking noise.
that alien soundbite of that motion
Yeah.
detector, especially because it's rhythmic, but then when it
Yep.
starts going faster, no, I'm out. Forget
All
it.
Yeah,
right.
you and Captain Hook have the same Achilles heel. Congratulations.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman played him in the Spielberg version. That's not bad.
All right.
Not bad at all.
We can live with that.
Run home, Jack.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh. All right. I mean, these are four drastically different games, but all hit us really in special ways that three of us are gonna have trouble sleeping tonight. One's gonna hug himself to bed.
Oh, are you kidding me? I'm gonna go play some horror after this. I'm psyched.
Now that we've kind of talked about it, and sometimes that can almost be not lethargic, but cathartic, I
Cathartic.
guess. Thank you. I'm
Yes.
lethargic.
Cathartic.
I don't know, like you guys even like right now, maybe even debating, you know what, maybe I will give the game that I mentioned a shot because I'm gearing up. I might play a little Resident Evil Zero when we're done.
It is Halloween.
No,
Oh
not
yeah,
for
that's right.
me. I will go out and check Sanitarium out though.
Well, you have a copy, so you
I do.
absolutely
Yeah, it'll
should.
be really easy for me to go check it out.
Absolutely should. And what about you, Dave? You
Dave?
going to go out and get some Taboo?
No, I'm not. Although Alien Isolation, because I do love the Alien games, I may have to get. I love Alien the movie, and I love the Genesis game, which is the last Alien game I played, Alien 3. But I may have to check that one out. I know that wasn't the game, but
Yeah,
You
no, definitely
absolutely
creepy.
should, and give it more than one frame before you
I
decide.
will. I will. I won't just look at the ad on Steam and say, no, I'm out. Uninstall Steam.
Uninstall. Yeah, that's right. Uninstall
Awesome.
Steam forever.
Very, very cool. Well, I think we picked some four great games, and before we start to wrap up this portion of the show, first of all, guys, where can they find you and your wonderful podcast?
They could find us at 2middleagedguys.com. That's two, the numeral two, middleagedguys.com. From that website, that'll take you to Facebook, to X, to podcast links, to YouTube links. Everything that you need to know you can get to from that website. We're also, push out the podcast through YouTube as well, like I mentioned. And that seems to be where a lot of our audience is coming from nowadays. So if you like to check out your podcast on a video platform,
Yep.
check us out
Best
there.
best way for audio is through video.
That's right. Absolutely.
Awesome. And then be on the lookout for their Spice Girls episode that I'll be on. So
Yeah, we're working on it.
We wouldn't do it without you, Larry.
Oh man, do you really want your show to get canceled?
Yeah, somehow a podcast gets canceled.
Yes.
Trust me, I'm working on it.
Self-funded podcast gets canceled.
And where can they find us?
You guys can find us on Facebook.com/Retro Gamers Podcast, on Instagram at Retro Gamers Podcast, on Twitter at Retro Gamers Pod. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube and Spotify at Retro Gamers Podcast, and you can email us at email@theretrogamers.com.
And before, because I want to do this with the two gentlemen with us, Ant, happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
It's Halloween, but it is more importantly your birthday. So hopefully you had a wonderful time. What did you do on your birthday?
What did I do on my birthday? I talked about obscure horror movies.
You did actually, yes.
and I scared somebody so much he couldn't even rent it.
It's true. It's true.
So for that alone, like that was such a great birthday gift.
Awesome. All right. This part I'm gonna have to edit real quick, but I just want to ask, Ant, I forgot, are we gonna do the closing here, or are we gonna do?
You know what? Why don't we close out the show here in case we can't come back and do like retro news and stuff like that? If we can,
fair enough.
Then we'll switch it. All
right. Fix it in post. All right, Here we go. All right. And once again, Chris, Dave, thank you very much for being on the show. Two middle-aged guys trying to work it all out. I love your show. I absolutely adore your theme song.
As do I.
Yeah. So thank you again for being on the show.
Absolutely. Cool. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween. Thank you for having us.
And with that, Ant, have a wonderful birthday week.
Thank you very much. You have a very happy, spooky Halloween, and don't let the sugar rush get to your head.
Too late. Not if my doctor tells me. And folks, we will catch you everywhere next week right here on the Retro Gamers Podcast.